So I thought I'd be further along by now. I thought I would be in a different space in my life, but that has not happened. I just reached 32, and although I don't think obviously life is over, I'm still young. It has been a very long and frustrating journey, and so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. I'm gonna tell you what my expectations were. I'm gonna tell you what my reality is, and kind of where I'm going from here. So let's talk about it. All right. So when I was 19, I think the first thing that I ever did was I tried promoting parties at 19. I did that probably 19 until like my mid 20s. Um, 19, I did that. I think 2021, I started like getting more into music stuff. So working with artists and different things like that, I did that for a while. 21, 22, I think I started this thing called Munchie Packs, which was like a snack delivery service. I used to deliver to kids on campus. That was actually pretty cool, but didn't make a lot of money from it. I would say when I was like 24, 25, I started Straight to the Music, which was a music blog. I've been doing that for the past 8 years. And I think after Straight to the Music, I did some other things, Panther TV, which is a media company, and candles. And I've been doing candles now about 5 years. I think my expectation was that one of them would have made me rich by now. And absolutely none of them have. And it's been a frustrating journey. It has, because I feel like I've always done the best that I could. I feel like, when I was younger, I used to believe that God gave me a dream and I never had a roadmap how to get there. And I think that was the most frustrating thing to me, because it's, how are you going to tell me that I can do something, or that I should do something, or that it's meant for me to do something, but never give me a real roadmap how to get there? I think for me, over the past, I'd say 10 plus years or so, I figured this thing out more so by trial and error. And I'm still trying. I think with social media, I've been doing the social media things almost 10 years too. I was consistent. People tell you the consistency, consistency, consistency. And, I've done everything with consistency as much as I could do. And I think sometimes, it doesn't work. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but sometimes either it's not your time, or things aren't always as advertised. I think in order for there to be winners, there have to be losers. And, sometimes it's easier said than done. I think my ultimate lesson in all of this is resilience. One, I think two is understanding how to pivot. And three is understanding that you need money and resources. I feel like I came from the starving artist era. And so for me, it's like, well, you don't need the money, you just need to work, work, work. And then as I got older, I realized, well, you need to work, but you also need to connect. And if you don't have connections, then you need the money to get the connections. And so it's just always been something going on, something happening, something transpiring. So the reality was, or the reality is, like I said, is that you need the money. And that a lot of time work compounds over years. I do think I've learned a lot on this journey. I've hurt a lot on this journey. I've given my heart over and over and over again on this journey, only to be let down over and over and over again. I've realized ultimately that I can't depend on anybody else. It doesn't mean that I can't work or collaborate with people, but it's hard for me to depend on people, because I don't think anybody is going to give the same effort that I give. I don't think people have the same focus that I give. A lot of this journey has been extremely lonely, and not so much in the reality of not having people, but realizing that everybody's not going to match your intensity. Everybody's not going to, go with you on this journey. One of my best friends, who's an artist, been an artist for a long time. He's tried to give me advice and tips and different things like that over the years. But it's been hard. I think he's probably been the main person that's been there as far as like creatively, because, he understands my creative nature and he's seen both sides of the coin. But for anybody who's trying to be creative and, different things like that, I think for most of us, it takes a long time. And the reason why is because we have to kind of figure out what it is or how to get there. Here are some things that I've also learned. One, clarity is very important. You don't have to make, I would say, the right decision, but you do need to make a decision. You do need to know which way you want to go and pick that way. Number two is understanding that every idea you have won't necessarily work out. And sometimes it might not be that it's not a great idea. It might be the wrong time. It might be the wrong place. I think it's oftentimes I've realized that it wasn't that my idea was bad. I just didn't have all the things that I need to formulate that idea. I would think another thing is to simplify that idea as much as possible and then just go with different iterations of that idea. People do get lucky. Those can be outliers. If you do study kind of like trends and different things like that, I do think that that can help you get, quote unquote, lucky. But honestly, you don't know. Especially when it comes to social media, you are at the mercy of the algorithm. I see a lot of small businesses who are consistent. I see a lot of small businesses who show up and post time and time again. And it doesn't necessarily take them to the moon. It doesn't take them to infinity and beyond. So, that's another thing. I think one of the hardest things I've learned is resiliency and the effect that it has on your mental. Stress can create a lot of mental issues for you. Sometimes mental health issues come from stress. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So take care of your mentals, take care of your mind. What is next for me? What's next for me is still creating, because I realize that I am a creator. I realize that ultimately, I think eventually I want to start a media company or try my hand at that again. Ultimately, everything I does leads back to creativity. That's just who I am. But for the meantime, I'm working, job. I'm doing, what I'm saying, odds and ends. I'm doing my candles, different things like that. But I don't stop. I take a break, but I don't stop. And I've also learned to take it a lot slower and take it a lot easier on myself. I do not have I would say this. I do not know when it ends. I do not know when I get past that goal line, but I do believe that one day I'll get there. I think another reality that I've learned is that when you do things the right way, sometimes it takes you a little longer. And that can be frustrating, but once you get there, it can be freeing because you did things your way. And I didn't think it was going to take this long. 10 plus years I've been trying to figure this out. I still haven't gotten there, but I'm here. And I'm believing that I'm hoping and I'm believing that that's enough. But this is where we are today. This is where I am. This is my expectations with social media, with business, and with life. This was my reality, the struggles, not having the money and the failures. And this is what I plan to do about it. Keep working, keep making videos, and keep my head down. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to know more about my journey, I can make another video about it, or you can go through old videos. Till the next time, peace.